Hi, welcome back to another Taboo Wednesday topic, and this one's a huge one. It's massive, and strangely, it's one of the easiest ones to solve. So, Taboo Wednesdays, even if this is not a Wednesday when you're watching this, is when we call out the things in business that we just don't talk about, things that get pushed under the carpet or people feel embarrassed to talk about. And this one, poor leadership, bad management, is definitely right up there with, well, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. So why is this so? How do you deal with it? And why is it so, one, important to deal with it, but two, actually one of the easiest things to deal with? Well, the first thing I want you to think about is this statement. The money is in the management. And I say this to my clients, so they look at me a bit puzzled because they're like, what? The money's in the management. What do you mean by that? And I'm going to take you through why good management, good leadership makes money. But the dotted line to seeing the money is not as obvious as, say, looking at increasing your marketing or increasing the amount of salespeople you have. But there's definitely a huge amount of money to save and to be made with good management and great leadership. So let's get into it. We've done 2 polls recently on LinkedIn on what damages businesses the most. When people voted, this is what happened. In our first poll, there was over 100,000 views within 48 hours. I think we had 90,000 in the first 24. And 87% of people cited poor leadership and management as the biggest problem that damages businesses. And if you think about that, that is colossal. This is just little old me with a LinkedIn poll and over 100,000 people in 48 hours. So what that tells us is that this is a huge problem and everyone knows it's a big problem. And then our second poll confirmed this. We did it a little bit later, a few weeks later, and 70% saying poor management. So we weren't talking about leadership in this one, we're talking about management is the biggest threat within a business. So everyone knows that this is a huge problem. Everyone knows. C-suite, no, they're frustrated that their projects are not running smoothly. Managers themselves are stressed and overwhelmed. We hear this on a regular basis, and we actually get a lot of people contacting us in management roles, starting out junior, all the way right to the top, even, C-suite, even C-suite CEOs, they're stressed out, overwhelmed. And they're not enjoying what they're doing. They're not productive and they know it. And they are very fearful of failing. And hence that's why they contact us, because they want to make sure that they don't fail and damage their reputation and their careers. So a lot of people come to us privately because they've got a problem they need to solve. So managers are stressed and the teams are just as frustrated. Teams are just as frustrated because they want to do a good job. They want to have a career. They want to have a regular income. They don't want the company to be in trouble. So they're frustrated with their managers because their managers are not allowing them and helping them to do a good job. In some ways, as we all know, bad management makes life really hard. It's one of the biggest reasons why people leave jobs, viable jobs, good jobs, because they just can't stand working for their manager anymore. So everyone knows this happens. And then obviously, and this is where the money is. How much does it cost when a project fails or targets get missed or people are demotivated, meaning you're paying them, but they don't produce good quality work or, that much work, to be honest, because they're demotivated. Mistakes are made. People are stressed. People leave their jobs. How much does it cost to replace somebody who leaves because of poor leadership and management? It costs a fortune. Teams are underperforming, so teams as a whole don't perform well together because leaders and managers are the people that can make a team work really well together or make them fall apart very easily. Making them work together is actually the core part of the job of being a manager. Employees don't want to come into work. The amount of times people said to me, I'm going to leave, I'm fed up. I think there's a statistic, 41% of the workforce is wanting to change jobs. If you think about that, 41%. How much is that going to cost you? And then no vision, goals that people can connect to because that's more about leadership. So these are just some of the things. Can you see straight away, there is money here. There is a lot of lost money and a lot of opportunity to create money because of this problem with leadership and management. But Why do we call it out as a taboo subject? It's taboo because, very simple, people don't want to admit when they're struggling. Who wants to say, I'm not very good at what I'm doing. I'm not very good as a manager. And who wants to tell their boss that? So what people do is they hold it in. They hold it in and they stress. And most of the people who come to work with us to solve this problem privately do so because they are good people. They're diligent, people like yourself. They want to do a good job, but they just don't know how. So who is dealing with it? Yeah. While everybody is whispering, everyone is talking, everybody is talking about poor leadership and poor management, and, you know, C-suite talking about other people who are not very good at their level. It all happens. It's one of the most commonly talked about issues. But who is dealing with it? Well, most of the people that we encounter dealing with it are people who fund themselves privately. So there's a big fear that if you spend money on developing your leadership team or your management team, they'll then leave. But actually, we don't find that bit to be the case. What we tend to find is that people come to us for help. They're trying to preserve the job they're in. They're trying to not fail now. So they're not trying to leap and go somewhere else. That may happen later, let's be honest. But if you're creating an environment and a place to work and a career structure which makes people want to stay, that doesn't happen too much, to be honest. People do leave and move around, but most of the people we speak to are fearful of what's going to happen if they don't get their job right. So they don't leave, they stay to make sure they haven't failed. That's why they come and approach us. It's usually fear and frustration that makes them come. So who's dealing with it? It's usually more the individuals than companies, which is where companies miss the trick, to be honest. But actually, it's a very simple problem to fix. It's one of those things where a little bit of knowledge goes a long way, because most people never get any of the guidance and knowledge they need to be able to do a good job. And I promise you that people, when they realize, what there is to understand about being a good leader and being a good manager, they realize how complex it is. All we have to do is take them through our certain change program, we call it, which is all about leading and managing. They go, wow, there's a lot in this. And the thought is usually, I never knew there was so much to this, because a lot of people are good at what they do, top salesperson in terms of, that technology or whatever they do. They then get promoted to being a manager, and it's a completely different job. It's a completely different job in terms of skill sets, usually, for most people, but also it's a completely different way of thinking, approaching how they actually think about work. So this is why so many people fail when they don't need to. So the breaking the taboo is admitting that there is a management problem within the company. And the interesting thing is, over the years, what we tend to see is someone says, if they do come to us, they say it's the people below that need it. But the interesting thing is, when we're talking to the people at that level, they say, when's my boss going to do this? And the honest truth is, most people, whatever level, don't get the knowledge to be a good leader and manager. And as soon as they do, they make massive and easy changes. So it happens at all levels of the company. But as I said, who wants to admit, especially as the more senior you get? Well, that's not true, actually. There's more senior you get, you don't want to admit it. But junior people don't want to either. Middle people don't want to, because they don't want to say to their boss they're failing. So nobody actually ever wants to admit to it. That's the taboo. That's the problem. It's not that people can't learn it. So how many of your essential leaders and managers struggling because they've never been shown how to lead and manage? That may be you. You may be thinking, I need to do this because my company is never, ever going to help me with this. But they expect me to perform at this amazing level, but they never are going to help me. And this is where we see people taking charge of their own career. And often what happens, they come along, as I said, so they don't fail. And then after a period of time, they move on. So this is in the interest of you as an individual to solve this problem, because like I said, as soon as you start learning this, life gets easier. It's less stressful. You don't have to take work home in the same way because you're organising your team better. Your team's happier, more productive. You get paid more. The company does better. And if the company leaders are not paying attention to this, you're going to lose these great people who do care enough to do something about it. The interesting thing is, if you are a company leader, this is your own company, your CEO or your senior level C-suite, you need just to look at the numbers on the internet. This is my advice. Sorry to be a bit preachy. My apologies for being a bit preachy, because I'm so passionate about this, because it's such a simple thing to fix. But go and have a look at the numbers of what it costs in terms of bad leadership and bad management, in terms of all the statistics about work performance and the cost to losing jobs and how much it is to get somebody new in, and then think about your projects that should be working better. Because I said, the problem is this is then seen as an upfront cost, especially in this day and age with, coming out of COVID and things like that. The cost is there, so it's painful. Who wants to spend the money? Nobody ever wants to. Of course they don't. But the long-term, or even the medium-term effect, and then the long-term effect is enormous. But we have to get over this, doing something perhaps that we've never had because we never had the training. And then you want to bring it into your team. Are you going to get the results? And a lot of people just go, do you know what, let's just leave it alone. And therefore the problem keeps going round and round and round, getting worse and worse. So sorry for being a bit preachy, but the money is in the management. It truly is. It's not sexy, like, pushing hard on your marketing or your sales. And it's not sort of something you see as an instant return in a straight dotted line. But just go and have a look at the internet and think, what does it cost for poor leadership and management? And you'll see the statistics. It's everywhere. It's well proven. But if you think, you know what, we have this problem, or I am failing as a manager, as a leader, and I want to solve this problem, it's actually very easy to solve, and we can help you do that. I promise you. We have a very, very good leadership and management program that works in a real depth, but in a very easy way and very practical and applicable way. To solve leadership and management problems. And if you think about it, if you're a leader yourself or a manager yourself, you can make your team work better, which enhances your reputation, which is going to enhance your career. If you're the boss of a company, how many people have you got who are not skilled at leading and managing, looking after how many people, and what's their salary of the people they're looking after? What is the cost of that project failing? That's what we deal with. This is what we're good at. So hopefully, thank you for listening to me being a bit preachy and because I just get so frustrated. So please use one of the links kicking around here. You can see the email and everything links, but just get in touch and we'll have a conversation, whether you're going to come and do it yourself for your own career or because you know your business needs it. Thank you for your time. And remember, the money is in the management. I promise you it is.